can't believe I won.
And you still got people out there with double mask and face shields and shit. Look into it.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Look Into It. Tonight, we're going all space and the latest in flat Earth with one of the grand masters of the flat Earth movement, Mr. David Weiss. What's up, David?
Eddie, how you doing, man? Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, dude, thank you for doing the show, man. A lot has happened since the last time we did a podcast together. Like, there's this one thing, you know, when people when you see those videos of the people up in the astronauts up in the space station, when they're asked like what they're doing, they're always super vague. They always say, we're doing science up here. We're doing a lot of scientific research. You know, we're going to go back to the moon and then Mars and then beyond the solar system. It's always that. They never say anything specific what they're doing.
They're always doing science. They're always doing science.
Yeah. And to me, I mean, it looks like, you know, you got to look like, you got to let people know that the money's being spent wisely. You know what I mean? So you got to have questions like that and videos like that. And now this video that we're going to show, same thing with CERN. Like CERN, they get a lot of money too. So they got to have some reports and they got to have some videos of like what they're spending their money on. And there was this one, I don't know if there was that Brian Cox guy, but one of the CERN guys was right in front of that big giant circular fucking thing where they collide particles and shit. And, you know, he was basically in front of a bunch of people. I don't know what they were. Maybe they were donors or something. But he was basically saying, I wish I could find that video. He's like, yeah, we know there's 11 dimensions and we're about to find the 12th dimension, but, you know, we're going to need some more money, you know. Like, that's what makes me not believe them when they're saying they're finding other dimensions. I'm sure there are other dimensions, but are they finding them? I think the only way you could find them is through mushrooms and DMT, but I don't know. So this is a CERN video that I just saw today, and look what they're spending the money on. Check this out.
Okay, so you and I and everything we know about like this apple are made of what we call matter, normal matter. But there's another possibility in the universe, which is antimatter, kind of an equal but opposite version of the matter that we know and love, which presumably was created in equal amounts at the Big Bang. The problem is these two things don't coexist, and for some reason, only this one survived the Big Bang. So we have a lot of questions about this stuff. Is it really the same? Is it the same when you look at it closely? Does it behave in exactly the same way every time? So one way to think about this is look at the gravitational effects on these two things. Newton told us what happens when we drop this. What happens if we drop this one? Until today, nobody knew. We used the simplest atom, antihydrogen. Number one, anti-atom. And what we've done in our experiment is to create some of these atoms, trap them using magnetic fields to keep them away from normal matter so they don't annihilate. So we hold them in kind of a magnetic bottle and then release them and see what happens. The answer, as far as we know right today, is that these two things will fall in the same way within the error of the experiment.
It appears they found out that antimatter, some shit they don't even know exists, falls at the same rate as matter. And then that's the commercial. That's a little CERN commercial. Like, what the fuck?
It's all
how much
stuff
money
that nobody can verify. Nobody can verify any of this. So they can just talk about it and nobody can verify, prove it or disprove it. So, you know, they claim it's real. All of the, you know, the sheeple people, they're like, oh, wow, NASA said it must be cool. You know, NASA says a lot of things. You know, have you seen this series of articles that have come out? We're always near missed by an asteroid. 23 bonsai dogs. All right, the size of 23 bonsai dogs. Then 22 tuna fish. 6 Darth Vaders. How big is a Darth Vader, Eddie?
I think like 30 miles in circumference. I don't know.
A Darth Vader is 30 miles in circumference. That's big. We'd be in trouble. 48 eggplants. I wouldn't even worry about that one. Right? How big can an eggplant be?
Some people
it goes on and on. They have. I mean, they had one. It was. I think I just passed it. It was one the size of a matzah, like 800 matzahs or whatever, and it went over on Passover. It literally passed us on Passover. They said 18 platypuses. I mean, what is it? Is this just rubbing it in our face, or is this to capture the kids? Right?
That you think it's coded?
100 hot dogs. You know, we know what hot dogs are. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's I just said code, and you brought up hot dogs.
Yeah.
What else? The size of 100 Barbie dolls.
100 Barbie dolls. Are they just promoting the movie? I mean, what is going on? It's just. I think it's. I think they're just rubbing it in our faces. They're capturing kids' minds, and they're just keeping everybody super dumbed down.
You know, most movies have some kind of agenda, message. You know what I mean? A message.
Absolutely.
I want to know. I think it'd be fucking badass if there was people out there, maybe Jay Dyer, because he's so good at dissecting movies and their messages. Like a list of movies that are 100% not woke. 100% independent, no agenda behind it. It would be nice to have like a library of those movies. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to tell sometimes because the messages are sometimes they're subliminal. You know what I mean?
The coding. There's globes in every movie. Well, every show, the globes just strategically placed everywhere.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to space movies, I think no matter what the plot is, it would be like nice for the controllers to have a direct message in the plot. But when you're talking about space movies, I think they don't even care about that. As long as it takes the backdrop is space and there's spaceships and there's balls and I think that's enough. Like they don't even care about, you can fucking talk about anything, so the plot might be like super legit and maybe, righteous or whatever. Like they don't care. Look, as long as it's space and in the background you see balls and then you see spaceships going from planet to planet, that's all that's the most important thing.
I was on a podcast today, a long podcast, and a guy that recently started looking into flat Earth, and he's all about it now. He goes, there's some good globe arguments. And I'm like, no, there aren't any good globe arguments. They're all fallacious. They're all nonsense. And when you look at them, when you hold any of their information, to the test of the scientific method or just common sense, none of it makes sense. For example, the orbit of the space shuttle, anything that's orbiting the Earth is falling around the Earth. It's not in zero gravity. It actually is falling, but it's falling at the same rate as the curvature, right? That's the definition of an orbit, right? So the International Space Station is going 17,005 miles an hour. It's free falling in free space, no resistance. And it's just matching the curve of the Earth magically while the Earth is spiraling in, 3 different directions at once. Several questions I have. One, how does the bottom of the spacecraft always stay towards the Earth? I mean, if it's falling around, wouldn't it just go like that? Why is it going like this?
Maybe they're steering it. They're
not steering it. But the other thing is, and I was kind of messing around with ChatGPT, saying, well, how is an orbit is falling? They say that it's free falling, and I said if something's free falling, what's its rate of acceleration? It gave me the rate of acceleration. I said, will something continue to accelerate if there's no resistance? Absolutely. Yes, it will. I said, well, geostationary satellites are going a consistent speed. How are they free falling? And the chat GPT goes, oh, yes, thank you for correcting me. I guess it does speed up. And I'm like, well, then how does it stay over the same point of land? And he goes, well, because it maintains the same speed. It's just circular arguments, right? I thought ChatGPT was going to have some good stuff, but literally you can totally trap it every single time. And it just does circular reasoning and it won't admit when it's wrong.
You should do that live on your podcast. Like
Maybe.
You could, I mean, you could, there's endless topics you could, in regards to flat Earth, that you could test AI with.
A geostationary satellite, that's one that stays over the same piece of land. They say those are at the equator and they're 21,900 miles away or whatever it is, right? And so I said, what speed are they going at? Because the equator's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the ChatGPT said, oh, it's going at the same matching speed. I'm like, wait a minute. If the radius of the Earth is 3963, that's what ChatGPT says it is, I said, and it's going 1,000 miles an hour, the radius of the satellite would be that distance plus 21,000 miles, whatever I said it was. So they would have to go much faster. And it's like, oh, thank you. Yes, it would have to be going 22,800 miles per hour. And I'm like, how did it get to that speed? Like, how do we have rockets that can push something to that speed?
Yeah.
Right. And then think about a geostation. Go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say, think about a geostationary satellite. So if we look at this is our solar system, we're spiraling, spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So that geostationary satellite, 20,000 miles away, has to match the spin of the Earth, right? It has to match the spin. That's a consistent spin. Okay, interesting. It's orbiting in an elliptical orbit, speeding up and slowing down around the sun, 66,000 miles an hour average. How does it match that speed? And then also chasing the sun close to 500,000 miles per hour in a curve. None of these are straight lines, right? How does it mirror all of those motions?
Yeah.
And what happens here is it's such a hard question that people just short circuit and they go, I don't know. I have to ask a guy in a bow tie. Okay. I have to ask a guy in a bow tie to figure that one out.
Yeah, man. The curvature formula, that 8 inches per mile squared, that is that, does anybody question that? Is that like legit? That's the formula for a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference approximately. There's no one doubts that.
Well, no, the globe zealots, they definitely challenge it. But when we hold them to it, I'm trying to find my here it is. It's based on the Pythagorean theorem, right? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to show. Hold on. It's based on the Pythagorean theorem. And people are like, oh, what do I? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Yeah. So if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So I'll just go through this real quick, right? A squared, b squared, c squared, right? So if somebody's standing on the Earth, right, and we have A is the distance to the center, B, let's call it 100 miles, and C would be the hypotenuse, and then the difference in the hypotenuse to the radius would be the drop. Pretty easy, right? So if we add all the numbers in, we find out that the drop at 100 miles is 3,964. Well, the total drop is 1.2 miles, and that actually works out perfectly with 8 inches per mile squared. There's 3 formulas. Some of them are way more complicated. The other 2 are way more complicated. But if you chart them out to over 1,000 miles, which we can't see that far, 8 inches per mile squared gives the globe the benefit of the doubt more than the others. It says there's less curvature. Okay, so flat earthers, we gave the globe the advantage. We took the worst formula for flat Earth. So the other 2 formulas say there's more curvature than 8 inches per mile squared says.
Yeah, I mean, if whatever the size the ball is, there's got to be a curvature formula for it. From a tennis ball to
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of formula. So a curvature formula, there has to be. I mean, it's science, right? Math, right? Yeah. Who came up with the 8 inches per mile squared? Where did that first pop up? Was that Eric Dubé that came up with that?
I don't know exactly where it came from or who found it, but it's based off of the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is a provable thing. So if we have a ball, we know the radius and we know the distance tangent to, at a right angle, we can figure out the drop. That's it. That's all it's doing. Yeah. And 8 inches per mile squared is just a simple way to do it.
And I wonder who came up with it. I believe it, but even if it's wrong, and let's say, because I always talk about the curvature at 100 miles. Obviously on land, you got mountains, valleys, hills. You can't get anything accurate on land. You can't really, it's got to be on the water, because in the ocean, there's no valleys or mountains. Everything is it's supposed to be a ball, right? The ocean's supposed to be a ball. Ocean's not square. So in the ocean, it's kind of undeniable once you put that formula to the test at 100 miles. So at 100 miles, it's roughly, there should be 6,000 feet of curvature, correct?
6,600, but we'll round down and give the globe the benefit of the doubt. Over a mile of curvature. Over a mile.
Yeah, even if it's 1,000 feet, you know what I mean? Even if it's way off and it's 1,000 feet, a Navy ship shouldn't be able to take a picture of another ship, like a laser pinpoint, at 100 miles. Even if it's way off, even if it's at 1,000 feet, you still wouldn't be able to see anything 100 miles away on the ocean if we're on a ball that's 25,000 miles in circumference, correct? I mean, that just makes sense.
100%. And people say, well, the bottoms of boats disappear. When we look out here, this is an interesting day where there's some swells and these boats come back into vision here. And what we're seeing here is a false horizon. Okay. These are waves in the foreground that create a false horizon. If you watch these boats, are they going over the curve or no? They're just clearly going behind ocean swell. So when you have waves out there in the foreground, those waves can hide an entire ship or a city, right? Little waves can hide an entire ship. This is not behind a curve. It's just behind a swell, right? Yeah. It's just behind a swell. Like, Eddie, can my finger hide my entire face?
Not right there.
Right, but closer it can.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Same thing on the water. Same thing on the water. And then people just don't understand how our eyes see, how our grid of vision works, right? We see in the same distance in all directions, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we see farther when we look up because we can see because the air is thinner. But if you connect all those points, that creates a dome around you, a vision dome. That's how we see. We only can see so far in every direction, and that creates what I call an azimuthal grid of vision, or a personal atmospheric dome.
Sam Tripoli and I are coming to your town. Catch us on the road doing tinfoil hat comedy. Follow me on Instagram at tinfoil hat comedy night.
November 3rd, we'll be in Indianapolis. November 4th, St. Louis.
Friday, November 17th, we'll be in Austin, Texas. And Sunday, November 19th, we'll be in Dallas. Go to samtripoli.com for more information and to buy your tickets. See you on the road.
Inside of that, we have perspective, which a lot of people don't realize. So
that right here, there, that like, especially that picture, but in a long hallway, that snaps a lot of people, into reality.
Right. And I think it was the Bellagio I was in last time. I went to one end of the hall. The lights were touching the floor at the far end of the hall. Right. Yeah. And from just the way perspective, literally the lights merged with the floor just in a hallway. But let me just show you real quick. So here's a guy. This line is at his eye level. And if I throw this mountain in here, we got the sun up here. The mountain is thousands of feet above his eyes. Right. We can agree with that. And then the sun moves away, not down. Now, this guy knows that the sun is not below the horizon. It's just behind the mountain. Just like if you're standing in the road and the sun is above you, there's a 10-story building across the street, and the sun moves past the building. It's now blocked by the building. Now, it's still in the sky. It's just blocked by the building. Now, if you walk backwards away from that building, you'll see the sun again. If this guy goes back or the mountain is moved forward, it lowers, and now we can see the sun again if he's far away. Now, remember, this line here is thousands of feet over his head, but he sees it at eye level, right?
Yeah.
And then if the sun goes away, it's going beyond the mountain, just like the building I was describing. And then if we add the cloud deck, the clouds, they all merge into this eye level line also, and the sun goes away over the clouds, and it's now going behind the clouds, the atmosphere, and the mountain. Remember, this mountain line is thousands of feet over his eyes. These clouds are thousands of feet over the mountain, and the sun was well above all of that. So everything goes beyond, nothing goes below.
Yeah, just like when you see a plane going away from you. It gets low as it gets lower and lower and lower, but you know it's not going low or going down. It's just perspective. Right. People don't understand perspective. The analogy, the one where you stand in the middle of a street and then you look at all the light posts and how they're going down. It looks like they're going down and coming into you, but they're not. All the light posts are exactly the same height. But based on what you see, I mean, if you just look at it, you say, oh man, each light post is shorter than the next one. It just keeps getting shorter. If you don't understand perspective and you're a retard, that's what you would think. But even kids know that it appears to be lower, but it's only perspective. And then the next light post, it appears to be lower, but it's only perspective. People don't understand perspective. Most of the time, they don't even know what they're looking at.
This is going to show everyone that they don't know what they're looking at. Okay. Eddie, you got 3 lines, yellow, orange, and red. Which is the highest line?
I'm going to say yellow. I know it's a trick question.
And which one is the longest line?
The red one.
Okay. So here I am, and this is a bush that's 5 feet over the deck. And so that's the height of the red line. This is the deck. So that's 5 feet below this line. And the deck is 10 feet above the beach. So the ocean, this is the level of the ocean's level, is 10 feet below that. So this is 15 feet lower than this line. And this is a couple of miles. This is 20 feet. And this is maybe 7 feet. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, man.
So
you got a lot of new analogies, man. I like that. Give me all the new shit. That's a great one, man.
I have a great one. Here,
I'm still with the street light, dude. I'm still with the street lights and the long hallway. Right. I'm still with that.
so let's see if you've learned. So here we have a line. We add another line, couple more lines, right? And which line is the highest?
I'm going to say the bottom one this time.
The bottom one. Okay. All right. In fact, you're wrong. They're all the same height as all of the lights. These are just connecting all of the lights. So they're all the same height. Yeah. There's no way to win with me. I never let anybody win, just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, do you do this when you debate people?
I don't really debate. I don't go against these, what I call these anti-flat earthers, paid or possessed trolls. They don't want to learn. Right. I want to talk to people like you. I want to talk to people that are just learning about flat earth, or people that think it's stupid because they don't know about it. And then I show them and they're like, wow. And I'm like, Don't believe me. Go look deeper. But I show them where to look because, as you know, you can't Google it anymore. Like when you and I were learning,
Yeah,
YouTube,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I've been like that for a couple of years now. Like I'm not interested in, if you don't understand what's going on by now, especially in politics, and if you don't understand what's going on, if you're still with Biden and all that, I'm like, I'll be wasting my breath, risking my life for these retards. Like, I don't care anymore. I mean, I'll talk about what I think is real, what I think is true, or what might be true, with people who want to know, who look at me like, damn, I know you're in the trenches every day researching and looking into everything. What about this? And what do you think about that? I love talking to those people. But man, I got a lot of people I love, close friends that they don't ever ask, I got guys who go, dude, hey, what else is new? What else is going on? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then I got guys like, well, explain this and explain now. Why is this one? And no matter what, and these are people that don't even pay attention to anything. There's people that I know that they claim, oh, I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. So, I don't watch none of that shit. But if you don't watch anything and you don't pay attention to anything, you will be right. You will coincidentally believe all the shit mainstream media is saying, and you don't even watch it. You know why? Because you're not watching it, you're not analyzing it, and then you're hearing a little thing, a little news clip here from a friend, and then a family member, and then you're putting it all together, and then you hear it again, and you're hanging around with a bunch of people that are watching the MSM, and then that's why, coincidentally, you don't even watch CNN, but everything you're saying is right in line with CNN. I think the controllers would would rather have people not believe in it and believe it's all fake. And everything is fake. Everything is real. It's just all acting. They like that because then people don't pay attention. And they're worried about the people paying attention, trying to change shit. That's who they're worried about. They're not worried about the people who think they're demons, but they're not paying attention anyways. And they're all out, on a farm, and then just no internet, and they're like, oh, okay. Like, those people are easy. They have nothing to worry about with those people. Those people aren't going after them or anything. They're not spreading information. So,
let me show you. Let me show you a new thing. You might not. I think this is another nail in the coffin. Locks the coffin. It's over. So, if you're on an airplane, right? On a ball, right? So you're taking off you're always on the top, and you're flying halfway around the world. You're flying over the ball, right? Yeah. So those stars in front of me are now over me, and I'm looking at completely different stars over there.
Yep.
Okay. Here's a time lapse from, I think it was Berlin to Brazil, somewhere down in South America, about halfway down for over 4,000 miles. And these stars should be processing up as he's diving over the ball.
Yeah.
But they're not. They only have the slight turns. And this is what Google Earth says should happen. So the simulation of the globe that we all live by says, oh, these stars, as you're diving over, should be rising up, right? But they don't rise up. Reality, this is a simulation that we're supposed to see, but reality shows the other. So the globe trolls come out and they say, oh, well, that's because you're going with the spin of the Earth and it's canceling it out. Well, you'd have to be going 1,000 miles an hour, and you'd have to be going east. This was going southwest, I believe, more south. And if that was true, even if the Earth was canceling it out because you're going with the spin of the Earth, or, the Earth is spinning like that, on the way back, then the stars should move twice as fast because you're going against them. But they don't. In both directions, it's filmed in both directions. None of the stars rise up. Here's a little, somebody did a little experiment. So they got a globe, right? And so this is where the plane took off. And just imagine that these words on the wall are the stars. So as he's flying over, the stars are going to just rise up, right? Rise up. He's doing a little Professor Dave joke there. So he did it with a laser. Let me get to the laser. So he's got a laser, and just watch the laser. It goes down, right? Laser's on top. As he's going down, this is his forward view. The stars would be rising up. It doesn't happen. Reality shows a flat Earth plane, and nonsense, Google Earth, shows what we would expect to see if we lived on a ball.
I saw this video, speaking of stars, not too long ago, maybe a week or two ago, about a guy explaining, based on like Egyptian writings and, that we are all stars. Like when we're born, we're actually a star in the sky, and we're connected to, because there's billions of stars, right? There's billions of people, there's billions of stars. There's a shitload of stars. They say hundreds of billions or whatever. And this guy's saying that we are actually a star in human form. That when we die, we go back up to that star. Like everyone's got a different star.
So let me say first, my mother named me David after the Star of David. If that has anything to do with it, but I believe, and again, you want to talk about flat Earth? We don't have to speculate about the stars. We don't have to go beyond Antarctica. We don't have to go above where we can go. We can prove the Earth is flat without leaving our own home. It's very simple. But yeah, I think that we are eternal beings, and our perfection, our soul, if you will, lives as stars, if you will. Maybe the stars are angelic forms of us, and we are just manifesting in this physical simulation.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, right? There's definitely enough stars, for everybody. One star there's billions of stars, right? So that's super interesting how, because whether you believe in astrology or not, some people think it's nonsense. A lot of it seems to like work out, like especially with people that you click with, it's generally like 3 or 4 signs that always come up. That your closest friends are always 3 or 4 signs, and it's like and there's 12 signs, and there's 12 notes of music, and each note of music has 3 or 4 other notes that harmonize well with it. You know what I mean? It seems like, and we're all frequencies, and stars are frequencies, electromagnetic realm that we're in. It seemed like, you know what I'm talking about? With there's 12 astrological signs, and then there's 12 notes in music. I'm Eddie Bravo, founder of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu with over 150 schools and over 30,000 soldiers worldwide. Music has always been my deepest passion. Without that musical journey that I took, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I can't tell my music story without having my musical partner my whole life and best friend, Mr. James Watson.
I said, I want to be in a band no matter what. Oh, well, there it is. I got to move to Los Angeles. I said, I got to go to that place. If this California is supporting metal.
Me and James just started making music. Mastering the Metal, the story of James Watson and Eddie Bravo. Print and audiobook available now. And each note has 3 or 4 notes that sound great with it. More, they could, depending on what octave you put it in, a note can harmonize with most notes if you just separate, and then it's all how you put the scale. But when they're really close together in the same octave, it's like the 5th, the 4th, the 3rd. Like those are the ones that harmonize well in music. And it just seems like if you're a Taurus, and your Taurus is like, E, you're going to harmonize well with bees, and bees are like, Leos, other Tauruses, Virgo. Like obviously you're gonna harmonize with other Tauruses because it's the same note, so that's obvious. So at most astrological signs, probably I assume they get along with other people of the same sign. And like for me, I'm a Taurus. I get along with Leos, Virgos, Aries, and Pisces the most. It's crazy. It seems like I like certain signs. They're just you just don't mesh for some reason. And I don't know, man. I'm not this crazy mystical crystal type person, but there is something to astrology, and there is something to those lights in the sky, and they're not billions of miles away. I believe those lights in the sky. I don't know, man. It seems like maybe we do have a star. Everybody has a star up there, and that's where our energy comes from. And then when we die, we go to that star. Who knows what those stars are? I don't know.
I'm with you. I've been saying that for a long time. And whether you believe it or not, the people that are trying to control this world, they believe it. They operate by it, and they use it. They say that millionaires have financial advisors and billionaires have astrologers.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's all interesting. So I have a new thing I want to discuss, and I want to get your opinion on it, right? So okay. People, if the Earth is flat, well, how do satellite phones work? Because everyone's buying satellite phones now, and satellite phones, they cost you, like $5 a minute or whatever. It's crazy. It's just like being on a ship out at sea. If you want to make a phone call to the mainland in the middle of the ocean, it's like $5 a minute. It's like satellite phone. It's like whatever they're doing. So what is a satellite phone? So let's look at this first. We're looking at, these are the satellites that they're tracking around the Earth. Supposedly, this is a live tracker. Okay. Right. I just added all of the debris that they're tracking. So supposedly NASA is tracking all of this. Okay. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's absolute insanity. They can't find a freaking jet fighter over Virginia or wherever it was, right? But they can keep track of all of this stuff in space while we're corkscrewing through space. Okay. So remember, we got geostationary satellites at 20,000 miles away. Okay. 20,000 miles away. And we have all of these satellites whizzing all over the place. And where are they getting their power? Oh, they got solar panels, right? I was in the solar power business. I know how much power a solar panel can make. It can't make enough power to transmit 20,000 miles to Earth. Okay. Let alone handle millions of calls and television signals and everything else. So how do satellite phones work? Well, you need a power source. You need a transmitter. So remember, we're corkscrewing through space, and all of those satellites are just traveling with the Earth in this nonsensical, complete bullshit system. All right. So once you basically could stop there and go, okay, this is ridiculous. So what's going on, right? So we have, let's just go forward a little bit. All right. So remember Felix Baumgartner, whatever his name was, the Red Bull jump?
Yes.
At 120,000 feet, 127,000 feet, 24 miles up, they were losing communication with him. They were underneath him with a giant transmitter, giant dish, and whatever they were using, and they could barely communicate with him at 24 miles up, directly above him.
Is there audio footage of their communication?
I had heard it a while ago, and I know the one they did with David Blaine, same thing happened. Not even as high. But I've been wanting to go find that. So let's just look at that. So here I got him here. This is not even the scale because he'd be way closer to the Earth if that was the Earth. Okay, so that's 24 miles up. Okay, so now we'll put a geostationary satellite 22,787 up. Okay, it's about 6 Earth distances or whatever it is. Okay, and so remember this is keeping pace with this motion. Right. So this satellite is traveling at 21,927 just to keep up with the Earth and match all the other spins and orbiting at that speed and chasing at that speed. Magically, it can keep its position. Let's pretend that's all true. Look at its view. Now I'll show you that in a second. So now we're going to go to cell towers. Okay. Cell towers. So cell towers, this is not to scale. Let's pretend these are all cell towers, all these things. And each cell tower sends out its signal, and that's where you can get service. So they put all these towers up, and they all overlap each other. Okay? Right? That's how cell towers work. I drove from South Jersey to Connecticut, didn't lose a phone call. I was on the phone the whole way, and it's jumping from tower to tower to tower to tower to tower. Right? That's the understanding you have, and that's how it works. So let me ask you a question. If this car was moving through here, we know that works. What if all of these cell towers were magically floating in the air and they were moving instead of me? It would still work, right? Because that whole grid would be moving over me, right? I have magically floating cell towers. Okay. So now, let's just go a little farther here. These have power, the cell towers are wired in and have power. Where are all of these getting their power from? Right. Okay. And why do we need so many satellites? Because this one satellite can almost broadcast to half of the Earth. Maybe we need 5 of them and would cover the whole Earth. Just 5. Why do we have uncountable number? Because at that distance, a geostationary satellite could reach. How can we suspend communications equipment above the ground at a workable height, have control where it is, have the ability to service it, and have a power source? You have any ideas?
They're on balloons.
Airplanes. Airplanes have transmission equipment. They're connecting to cell towers because they have a very powerful transmitter and receiver. And, when you make text messages and online, the airplane is connecting with the towers and you're just connecting to the airplane. So an airplane is only 5 miles up, right? And they're everywhere. And so a satellite phone is a strong cell phone. It is connecting to the airplane. The airplane's connecting you to maybe it jumps from one airplane to another, then to a cell tower, depending on where you are. But it's not a theory. This is called a mesh network, and it's moving instead of the person. It's like a car driving down the road while the towers are driving around the Earth. It just went back to the beginning. So if they're not doing this, it's irresponsible because this is way more affordable, serviceable, workable. What's the first thing that Elon Musk did with Starlink, the satellites, when the war started in Ukraine? He said, I'm suspending satellite service over Ukraine. You know why?
Why?
There was a no-fly zone over Ukraine.
He didn't mention that.
Yeah, there's a no-fly zone. So there's no satellites. So you got to turn them off, right? And satellite phones don't always work if you're in the real remote area and there doesn't happen to be a plane near you. But guess what? There's planes everywhere now. And you know what? with artificial, not even just air traffic control and whatever is controlling it, artificial intelligence, It could say, in 3 hours, there's not going to be any airplanes in this region. They might send an airplane there or send a balloon there or send some, they might just to fill in the holes, and they can manage that easily.
So
right?
you think satellite phones are working off airplanes?
100%. I wish there was satellite phones that were common when 9/11 happened, because they grounded all the flights worldwide. Or was it worldwide or just here?
I think it was just in the United States.
Right. So I think that would have been an interesting test. There's no chance that a person's handheld satellite phone is connecting 22,000 miles away. It's connecting miles away to something that that can receive the signal and then transmit it with power. Period.
What about, I would say, if someone asked me how satellite phones work, I would say they work off satellites on balloons. That's like, wouldn't they do that? I think that image you put up with all the satellites supposedly around the world, like maybe there are that many, but they're all on balloons.
A lot of them are. Maybe those are all balloons. I think they just put up so many so nobody can track it.
Or they put up so many because if anybody checks the books, they're probably buying satellites or taking satellite money from the government. We got to build this satellite. We got to build this satellite. They're probably just making satellites all the time just to keep the money rolling. And then they got to have something to show for it. So just put it up on a little little screen.
I believe that perhaps some satellite balloons could transmit some signals and stuff, but they don't have enough power. They don't have enough power to handle 1,000 calls or 1,000,000 calls, 100,000 calls or whatever it is. And they can maneuver where they go. And I think they have they have a battery on them. They collect as much power as they can, and then they use them when they need them. So yeah.
Have you found out how long those satelloons stay up?
There are some reports on shows that are openly talking about them, saying that they could stay up for well over a year. So well over a year, is that 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy that there's so much evidence that they're on balloons. I mean, they're admitting it. They're making documentaries about it, saying like, because there's film of satellites on balloons in the 50s, like military film. You watch that. That's how they used to launch satellites on balloons. And then all of a sudden in the 60s, they started throwing them up in space. And that just seems like, a scam. Like they never went to space. They've always been on balloons. And now it seems like lately, over the last 10 years or so, people are figuring it out. So now they're putting out these well-produced documentaries about the new way the new way they're going to start launching satellites with balloons. It's cheaper. It works great. We don't need that space shit no more. It's too expensive or whatever. That's what it seems like. They're obviously concerned with people finding out. So that's why they're just admitting they're on balloons. I mean, they're basically admitting it. There's enough videos out there that were produced by the government themselves. Lunar Project.
It's never just one answer. Commercial airlines, AWACS airplanes that are up there, drones, balloons, all of that together, there's your mesh network. But I would say 99% of satellite phone communication is done through jet airliners that are already in the air with power, with the exact equipment that they need, to transmit and connect effectively. And that's why they charge, your $5 a minute or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy how they finally got internet on planes, and up until recently, the internet worked. They finally got it, but you couldn't watch videos. It would buffer like YouTube would buffer like every 3 seconds, freeze. Every 3 seconds, freeze. They got internet on planes, but it wasn't quite powerful enough. I mean, it would play videos for a couple seconds at a time, and now they got it down. How you can watch videos?
How are they getting in on the airplane?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody really knows, right? You would think like, you would think that if we're getting internet from satellites in space, like the closer you got to space, the better your transmission would be. Like you would think like when you're on a plane, you're like, damn, this is like clear reception because I'm closer to that satellite that we're getting our reception from. But most people don't even realize that it's everything like, just your regular cell phone when, you're getting everything through towers that are like 100 feet up.
Connecting the towers. That's it. The airplanes are a direct line of sight to towers. They have the power to send the signal, and the satellite phones have the power to reach the airplane. Then once it hits the tower, you can call anywhere in the earth because you're on the landlines.
I believe that. Is there any proof of that though, that satellite phones are connecting to airplanes? Is there any have they talked about it in documents or anything like that?
I'm hoping that there's some installers, tower installers, airplane service people listening to this show that can help prove this. But listen to this. If they're not doing that, they're being financially irresponsible because it's a way cheaper way to do it. Way cheaper.
Yeah.
Than satellites in space. Insanity. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to come out and admit it. I love this picture. These pictures of the moon. The craters on the moon are always the same color as the sky is behind it. So here's my question to people. During you got a nice sunny day and you got the moon in the sky, blue sky. How come we don't see the stars? The stars are brighter than the moon. Okay. How does a moon, 250,000 miles away, dusty, dirty ball, reflecting sunlight, which isn't that bright off a dusty, dirty ball, go outside and look at a cement ball on the ground. It's not that bright. And you're closer to it, so it should be brighter than you see the moon. How do we see that in the day sky?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you could see the moon out with the sun. The moon is such a mystery.
Right, but the moon is whatever it is. I have no idea what it is. Okay, it's here within the Earth system. Whatever it is, did you ever see my I have my rear projection eclipse?
No, let me see it.
I want that upper body clench. That's what I'm going after. With the underhook, looking for double underhooks. That's a juicy ass clench. Perfect double underhooks. You're on your side. Boom. That's all perfect. That's huge. In my game, for me, I'm like, I got this motherfucker. First fight in Abu Dhabi, 2003, against Gustavo Dantas. I got right in and got perfect double underhooks. I'm like, oh my God, I had him in a lockdown, perfect double underhook, really quick. He just gave it to me. And I was just sitting there going, oh my God, he just gave it to me. That was just off a front headlock, 100%. Push into him, you want to smash him, and then jump on that leg. You want to rush them, so they don't have so they're off balance. You jump on that leg, you hook that leg, you're gonna take their back or put them in the truck. Either one. Does that make sense?
So people, they love throwing out, what about eclipses, Dave? What about eclipses? And I say, well, let's look at a solar eclipse. Okay. So this is me filming. It happened to be very hazy that day, and I was able to film without much glare. This is an actual me filming the eclipse. Okay. Now we don't see the moon. We just see the sun, which is missing. Okay. Let me just switch over here for 1 second. So people think that it's the moon, and it could be, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is the way they say. You don't see the moon in any of these pictures. Okay. You see the sky. You see missing sun. Okay. You see missing sun, right? You don't see the moon. You see just like if I hid the sun, it's just sky. You don't see the moon at all, right? It's just missing sun. So just remember that. I think whatever it is that's eclipsing the sun is behind the sun. I'm going to show you why. Okay. Missing sun. You don't see the moon. You imagine seeing a moon, but you don't see the moon. All right. So here we go back. So this is me. And this is me rear projecting my eclipse onto a paper towel. They look very similar. You don't see what's eclipsing my light. All right. So here's an eclipse that was filmed, and we saw this. What is it? The eclipse was like 85%. Now, this is a lens flare. It's moving around. But what's this? It's locked to the sun. So it's not a lens flare. And the sun is eclipsed that much, but it's just so bright it's blowing out the camera lens. But if you like put sunglasses on, you would see the sun looking like this, just bigger. So what is this? Why is it the same? And I say that this is the projector of the real sun. And this is the sun that we see every day. Let's take a look. Okay. So here I am, and I'm creating my eclipse. Now you don't see my moon, which is a Snapple bottle cap. So here's my source sun, and here's my bottle cap moon, and it's eclipsing and creating an eclipse. Okay. You want to say something?
No, I was totally confused until you brought that out. Now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense. So look, we don't see. Let me go back just a little bit.
So you're saying the sun, and I've heard this a lot, is actually a reflection of something.
This is me. I think the sun and the moon that we see are just the projections, for lack of a better word, of the source sun, which is above or within the firmament. Okay, that's just me. But
like coming from the North Pole or something like.
So no one during it when everyone's waiting for an eclipse to start. Nobody with any special camera from the ISS, from anywhere, has ever seen the moon approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or exit the sun. The eclipse happens, and they're like, oh, it's because the eclipse is so bright, you can't see the moon. Well, during a total solar eclipse, you should be able to see the moon because the sun's blocked out. The earth shine should light up the moon like the moonshine lights up the earth on a full moon. Well, on the moon, it's a full earth, 6 times bigger and shinier. It should light up. No one has ever seen the sun, not ever seen the moon during an eclipse. So just watch here. So here goes my eclipse. You don't see the moon at all because there's no light coming off of it. So then I thought, you know what? Maybe our sky screen that we see is more transparent. So I did it with a piece of tissue. So here's my transparent sky eclipsing. Look, right there. That's the projector. That's the rear. I'm seeing through the tissue, through the sky, and it looks just like what we saw.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah. Good work. Yeah, the moon is fascinating, and people don't keep track of it. Every night I do. I'm just, every day I look up, check to see the chemtrails, if they sprayed us today or not. I always look at the sun and where it's at, and notice where it should be, and according to what season it is, what time it is, and then when the sun is setting, you see the moon. Sometimes the moon's in the sky when the sun's out. I'm always keeping track of the moon. And the moon, if you don't keep track of it, most people don't. It's just like a random thing because the sun is on a clock. It moves slowly from, daylight saving time to regular time or whatever, but
True,
the moon. So like an average person can keep track of the sun. Like, oh, it's fucking 2:00. The sun's like right there. Oh, it's 7:30. It's setting. So generally most people know where they could tell what time it is roughly based on where the sun is in the sky. But the moon isn't like that. Every day it's at the same time. If you got to stand, because it's really, this moon is tricky because you gotta check out the moon every night, especially from where you're like the same spot, like right in front of your house, on your porch, in the same spot. That's where you judge where the moon's at. Because when you're on the freeway, you don't even notice that you're turning and making circles, and then the moon seems like, oh my God, I thought it was in the southern hemisphere, but damn, it looks like it's in the north now. But it's only because you can't tell how many curves and turns you've done on the freeway. So it's tricky like that. But if you keep track of it from the same spot, you'll notice that every night at 8:00, wherever it is, or every night at 12, or every day at 12, whatever time you pick, the moon the next day is going to be a little bit behind. 8:30, it's right here. And then
so look,
8:30 the next day, it's right here. 8:30 the next day, it's right here. 8:30 the next day, it's right here. And then when it's all the way to the west, and it's really close to the sun, that's when you get that, what is it called? The new moon, where it's super thin, right?
Crescent moon.
You know what I'm talking about? Is that the new moon? Crescent moon.
Crescent moon.
Okay. I'm not that good at naming the phases, but I know where the moon's going to be. I know where it's going to be the next night based on the night before. It's going to be a little bit to the east. Still moving towards the west, but a little bit to the east. And the closer the moon is to the sun, you get that little sliver, that little crescent just slivering. It's so close to the sun. And the next day it's going to be here, and that sliver's thicker. Then next day, 8:30, it's going to be here. It's a little thicker, the crescent moon's thicker, and then it keeps getting thick. And the sun just went down right there. So as it's getting further away, always the full moon is when the sun sets and the moon is directly across from it. So to me, the size of the crescents are bigger as the further away the sun is, because I think the sun is pulling whatever that is, that electromagnetic plasma that makes up the moon. If it does, I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But it seems like the full moon is never when it's by the moon or the sun. Never. It's always when it's directly across. Let me show you. It, right? Am I making sense at all?
Yeah. Let me show you. It's very easy. On my app, the sun laps the moon once every 28 days. So it's almost a full moon one more time around. And so the moon is fading back. So the sun sets, the moon rises, and then the sun will eventually catch up to the moon. Now, though, as it catches up to the moon is waning. And when it catches up to the moon, there'll be a new moon. The sun keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. Okay. And then the stars lap the sun once a year. So the stars in each zodiac, as they drift backwards, as it slowly outruns it, keep track of the seasons and the years. The sky is a perfect clock, right?
Yeah.
All of the finest watches in the world are based on what? The sky clock. That's where the accurate time is, right? So how do we live in this heliocentric, gravitational beehive where everything works perfectly? That's the heliocentric model would be a random, chaotic mess.
I was in Costa Rica 2008, way before Flat Earth.
For all your 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu merchandise, please visit 10thplanetjj.com/shop. We also got a Look Into It t-shirt that just dropped. Thank you very much for your support.
And I was laying on the beach, and I was just stoned as fuck and just fascinated with how, like, I was just looking at the sunset, and then the sun set, and then the stars popped out, and there was always clouds in the sky. And then as the sun sets, like, you see the ocean, and then so it was like the contrast between the randomness of the clouds and the water and the fucking the precision of the sun, the moon, and the stars. It was just fascinating. It was just like the ultimate clash. Like, the clouds are just random. Water is just random. It's just random. There's no structure, and it's constantly changing. There's no rhyme or reason to clouds. And I mean, you wind a little bit, and then I guess the atmospheric pressure, whatever, but it's random as shit. It's the opposite. And then right behind it is the most precise structure, the stars, the sun, the moon. And I remember just sitting on the beach, stoned as fuck, just tripping out at the dynamics, and they're just on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but they work together as one. It's crazy.
We're in the north now, and it's the winter is coming, and the sun is just going out and away. I used to think the sun's lower in the sky because the earth is tilted away from the sun, as we go around. But of course, we can't feel that motion or anything, and water can't stick to a ball, and, you can't have a high pressure next to low pressure, all of that nonsense. But now that I understand, I can see the sun is just taking bigger and bigger circles around me, and it's not coming as close to me. Therefore, it's lower in the sky, and it's getting colder and colder here in Connecticut. It's just going farther away. Each day I watch the sun set on the water. It's a little farther to the left, a little farther south, a little farther, out to the south. And just those little movements make sense. So, people say, well, seasons, you couldn't have seasons if the earth was flat. Seasons prove the earth is flat. You know why we have summer? Because the sun is closer and it's warmer. You know why we have winter? Because it's farther and it's colder. But in the heliocentric model, they tell us the sun is farther during our summer and closer during our winter, and it's the tilt that matters. Okay?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You and I are sitting outside 25 feet apart because we don't want to get, the infection. Okay? And we're drinking a beer and it's freezing cold, right? And we're freezing. And then Hibbler comes over and he's got a pole with a big heat lamp on it, 15 feet over your head. Beautiful, raining heat down on you. And you're like, take off your coat, your beer melts, all is good. And I say, Eddie, where is that heat lamp, that sun? And you're like, oh, it's right above me. It's very warm. And I'm like, well, I see it not above me. I see it lower in the sky. I see it over there. It's low and I'm cold. So Hibbler walks over to me, keeping it at the exact same height. And I watch it get higher and higher and higher. It's getting closer and closer and closer. And now I'm warm and you're cold. That's how seasons work.
Were you talking about a heat lamp like at a restaurant? Is that what you meant? You're at Cheesecake, and they ask you want to sit inside or outside, and you say fuck it, let's go outside. It's a nice cool night, but it's a little too cold, so they light up those heaters, right? And you want it like right over you, right? The further away that heat lamp is, it ain't gonna do shit for you.
Exactly. It's closer, it's warmer. And so for those people that don't know, the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. The sun is making its way out there for December. So right now it's September, October, November, December, and the sun will be out there. It's out here, and Australia has their summer. I can call my friend PK when the sun's right over here and say, hey, where's the sun and what time is it? He'd be like, it's right over me and it's noon, right? In Sydney, right? Because the sun goes right over them. For me, in Connecticut, the sun's farther away, right? But 6 months later, the sun moves into the Tropic of Cancer, and we have our summer. Boom, it's going right over Miami. It's hot in Miami. Right there, right? It's colder in Australia because the sun's farther away. So simple. But people they can't see it.
Yeah, to me and you, it's we see what's happening. But what do you think? Let's speculate a little bit. What do you think is making the sun and the moon drift in and drift out? It's got to be connected to some kind of electromagnetic power source controlling it. It's all connected. It's like, it seems like it's not just free floating. It's doing specific routes. What do you think is controlling it? You see that one video there? This one guy. He didn't say anything. He's just showing how he's like just on those dry erase boards. He's basically showing that we're in a what do you call it, Taurus field or whatever.
That's it. Can I want me to explain it?
In that video I'm talking about?
Totally nailed it. But here's the thing. There's physics here that we can touch and feel and play with that we can't figure out. So to expect that we can figure out the physics of God's creation above us is pretty,
What do you think? It's got to be to me. Again, I'll speculate. I think there's some kind of power source in the North Pole. It's got to be, right?
This whole place is a power source. I tell people, get a spool of the thinnest copper wire you can get, as much as you can. Unspool it all on the ground, tie one end to your drone, and send your drone up. Okay? And then when that wire is hanging...
No, say that again?
Get a spool of really thin, like thread thin copper wire.
Okay.
Right? Put it all, just put it all out so it's not tangled, but in a pile on the ground. Tie one end to a drone and send the drone all the way up. And when it's hanging in the air, go ahead and touch that wire. I'm not doing it because there's so much electricity in the air, and that potential, every time you go up, I think it's of a yard, there's 100 watts, 100 volts more of electricity in the air. It's like free energy is everywhere. That's why people say, what difference does it make? What the shape of the earth? Well, it's not the shape that matters. It's the lie and the hiding of our true history. I mean, we don't have time to get into, John Levy and everything beyond that. But they're hiding free energy. They're hiding more land. They're hiding everything. They're hiding everything. Yeah.
So sometimes I get into so basically, let's talk about facts, as in regards to what flat earthers believe is facts. And we're surrounded by an ice wall. Antarctic The Antarctic Circle is actually the Antarctic shoreline, right? If we're in some giant lake, right?
Yeah.
So we're in some giant lake. We're surrounded by ice. What's beyond that ice? I mean, there's got to be more lakes, right? There's got to be more lakes. Like, we don't know for sure, but there's got to be.
In the outer space, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
This is where we can go into what Hibbler wanted us to talk about, and I love talking about. But again, I always like prefacing that we don't need to leave where we are to prove the Earth is not a spinning ball, that it's a level horizontal plane, and that we're not moving. Right? No,
I'm with you right there. I'm with you right there. But like, if this was just a discussion, like, we're already beyond that. We're in some kind of lake. Everybody, we're not trying to convince anybody of anything. We're in some kind of lake. We're surrounded by an ice wall. There's plenty of video of it.
We want
to. Now, now you're talking to other flat earthers. You don't have to prove to me. We're on some flat. We're in a lake. We're in a giant lake. What the fuck do you think is beyond it? More land for sure, because Admiral Byrd, he talked about it before they killed him, or before, he died unexpectedly. He was on TV saying, dude, beyond the ice wall, there's land the size of the United States, untouched, with massive, resources and shit. So we know, based on what he said, there's at least one continent outside of at the Antarctic Circle. There's got to be more lakes, right? Like, this is just one Earth lake. There's probably a bunch.
Eddie, let me give you my investigation so far, and this is good. First, Admiral Byrd said from Middle America, he said when he did Project High Jump, he went down across the South Pole. He said there's another continent with more land bigger than the United States. So from Middle America, he went down here. There's another continent the size of the United States. Don't you think South Africa would know, or South America would know there's another freaking continent down here? Okay, yeah. Right. So then he did his newscast with the flat Earth clock behind him. Okay, it's a clock, flat Earth, right?
That is
kind of weird. There's a clock. It's a flat Earth map with a clock on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah. We've known for 2,000 years. I don't think we knew in 1950. Okay. I think 1950, the Rockefellers were taking over the school system. They were getting rid of the Gleason's map out of all the encyclopedias. They were collecting anything that said flat Earth. There's people, I did my interview with Ruth in 2020. She was taught flat Earth. I talked to other people that said they were taught flat Earth and globe Earth all the way up to the late 50s. Okay. Here in America in public schools. Then all of a sudden, poof, flat Earth disappears.
Where did those? Right? I would love to see one of those textbooks. Can you imagine if you could find one? You think they burned them all?
Always have to turn in your textbooks. You're not allowed to keep the old ones when the new ones come out. I think they knew. So this is a ship tracking website. Anyone can go to ship tracker, whatever it's called, and you can click on any of these dots and see where the ships are. But we noticed something weird, Eddie. There were some ships way inside of where the ice is supposed to be. Okay, 730 miles from the closest port. Okay, that's huge, right? And at that distance on Google Earth, it says it's 1.9 miles higher than the Earth, right? So higher than the water. So 1.9 miles higher. So that can't be a canal. Well, what's going on? How did that ship get in there? Then we zoom out a little bit. We found another ship 905 miles in from the closest port, an active ship. That's 2.37 miles high. It's almost in the center of Antarctica. Okay, according to the globe. So what the heck is going on there? And here's what I speculate. So we clicked on one of those ships, and it had very little information. It said it was 580 meters long. That's a gigantic ship, right? And it didn't tell it where it was going. It didn't have any information other than it was registered in the nation of Kiribati. Where's Kiribati? So we look it up. It's out here in the middle of the ocean, the middle of the Indian Ocean. I have a pin on it. It's a sandbar, Eddie. Okay, it's a little bigger than a sandbar, but China gave them $10 billion recently, and America's given them equal amounts of money not that long ago. And they say it's a very important trade route. I found a whole bunch of articles. Other countries are like, yes, Kiribati, very important trade route. Why do they need to stop here? What's going on here? Okay. So hold on. Doing a little investigation on Kiribati. One of my listeners said, look what I found. The Captain Cook Hotel, bed and breakfast or whatever. Maybe someone just fascinated with Captain Cook. Captain Cook's the guy that said he tried to circumnavigate Antarctica and it went 68,000 miles. It took him 3.5 years. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Okay. Let's just move on. Okay. So we looked at the ships that were landing in Kiribati currently, and guess what? They had very little information too. Their destinations were either unlisted, which is weird, or Christmas Island. Why are all of these 15 or so ships unlisted or Christmas Island? Strike two. Okay.
Where's Christmas Island?
I have no idea. Okay. Christmas, it's all satanic thing. You know, maybe they're bringing children somewhere. Maybe they're smuggling children. Who knows? I don't know. Right. Then I found out there's nuke testing. They've done nuke testing on Kiribati. Right. And they're talking about this is back in the 50s or so. And they're one of the testimonies. Check this out. One of the soldiers said the nukes were so bad that when the flash went off, he put his hands over his face and he could see the bones in his hands. Watching too much Bugs Bunny, I think. Okay. But this is the testimony, right? There's tons of articles and they show this. Okay. Now check this out. These are all soldiers. Let's zoom in. They're not even looking at this thing. Eddie, if there was a nuclear bomb going off over there, would you be looking, hitting the deck or running or doing something?
Yeah.
They're just walking around like nothing's going on. Like this to me looks like, I don't know, maybe it's a fire, you know, or maybe it's a small volcano. I don't know what it is, but it's no nuclear bomb. All right. And again, nuclear bombs don't exist if you go down that rabbit hole. But I think they don't want people going to Kiribati. I think they're trying to just keep everybody away. Look, everyone's standing there with they got sheets on their head, so they're protected from the nuclear bomb. Right. So
Operation Grapple. That sounds interesting. What is that exactly?
Yeah. I think that was the nuclear testing there. I'm not, what's going on. So then we look at time zones. Time zones on a ball should be equal lines from the North Pole to the South Pole, 24 of them. So you have your time zones. Okay. Right. But for some reason, we have this weird time zone at the date line, which it ripples all over the place. Let's zoom in on that. So here's the date line. Why does this time zone cut across 3 time zones and back? That makes no sense on a spinning ball. Sounds like they're trying to fit something onto a ball. But guess what's in the most weirdest spot ever? What? Kiribati. It's right there. Why is Kiribati there? Okay. What are the odds? Strike 3.
Wow.
So what do I think that's going on? Here's what I think is going on. I think Kiribati is a very important trade route, but it's going out here. Now on a globe, that would show this boat in the middle of Antarctica, but maybe it's going out here to these other continents and they're trading technology, computer chips.
Man, I never heard of Kiribati. That's brand new, dog. But great find. Whoa, Kiribati.
They're trading children. Well, I don't know. We want the right to explore. And here's the thing. There could be dozens of these trade routes. How would you ever know? Because you never heard about Kiribati to this very moment.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, like, Greenland is so goddamn big, but we don't hear anything about it. There could be a ton of cities there, you know, where people fake their deaths, you know, once they get caught and the slaves figure them out and they go, okay, it's time for you to die and go to Greenland. I mean, and all the land that, like, the northern part of Canada, like, what's up there? There's no way there isn't like some like cities we don't know about. Like the controllers have some land they don't want it. They don't tell us about.
100%. On my app on the Antarctica 24-hour on the Antarctica button, I just added. I think it's the one on the bottom. Let me go to the bottom. It's a documentary, some old news footage talking about that there's cities in Antarctica. And we had an army guy, he was like 94 years old. And one of our guys was doing some construction work on his house. The old guy noticed the flat earth sticker on the guy's car and said, "Hey, I like your sticker." They started talking. The guy goes, "Yeah, well, I was based in Antarctica." And so the flat earther is like, "Hey, what's going on in Antarctica?" And the guy "Well, I can't tell you much." And he's pressed him a little bit. He's like, "Listen, I have a non-disclosure until I'm 100 years old." Great.
Whoa.
Okay.
How old is he?
They're 94. So we got to wait 6 more years and he's going to croak, right? Yeah. He's probably fully, vaccinated and everything else. So, but he did say, he goes, "I can tell you this. There's cities of people in Antarctica that are not allowed to communicate with the inner world."
And
I don't know if that's true.
Who said this? Who was someone you know?
This was a guy. No, just another flat earth.
But where did the story come from?
It came from a flat earther that was working at this guy's house. That's it.
And
he told the story.
He made a video. He made some video and talked about it.
Telling us about it. I think it was on the Iron Realm Media show, on one of the shows, or he called into some show. I don't know. I heard it somewhere. Again, it's just a story.
Yeah.
There's lots of stories. The Smoky God, the Iron Republic. These are all stories about people talking about the Outer Lands. You know about the Iron Republic, right?
That's a book, right?
It's a book, and again, it's a story about a politician that he got fed up with politics and life here, and he got a ship. He sold everything, got a ship, and he went to Antarctica, and he found an opening. He went through, and then they're out in the ocean. They couldn't figure out where they were because the stars were all different. And then he was lost for a couple of months, and they saw land, and they saw a city, and then a boat came out and met them. They're like, "Hey, you're at the Iron Republic." He's like, "Where the heck is that?" And he's like, "Well, it's on the other side of Antarctica, same distance as America is." And he stayed there for 10 years, but he came back. Like, he actually got married there. He met somebody, he fell in love, got married, and she got killed. He got distraught. He came back to Florida, and he wrote a series of articles in 1898 or in 1899. They're published all the way through 1901. And he said he had all the proof and everything. He was talking about electric cars and flat screens and a whole different type of government and all of this stuff. Now, the story rings true to me. Do I have proof that it's true? I do not. But it doesn't matter, because he was talking about more land beyond Antarctica in the 1800s.
And now, is this story written as fiction, or is it written as like a documentary form?
It was actually written in Florida Magazine as a series of articles. And what's funny is you can't find a single copy of that magazine anywhere. Eddie, with eBay and all online stuff, you can find anything. You want to find the first issue of Playboy magazine or whatever, you could find anything. But not a single copy of those can be found. Now, there's PDF copies, but there's no physical printed copies anywhere. They've been removed.
I got to look into that. Is there a documentary on the Iron Republic and all that stuff? That sounds fascinating.
No, but if you don't want to read the book, like if you have travel time, you want to listen to it, there's an audio version on the Morgile channel. Just search the Iron Republic, the Morgile, and it's a 5-hour YouTube video, and you can just listen to it. He does a great job narrating it.
Whoa, that's fascinating. Now, what trips me out is I don't know what's the Gleason's map, but the globe, the longitude and latitude lines, right? When they're at the North Pole, they're really close together, right? And then they come out to the equator, and then they get small again, right?
Yes.
The globe, right? But on all those maps, the flat Earth maps, the Gleason map or whatever, you see the lines. They're close together in the center, but when they get to Antarctica, they're far apart. They don't come back together. So you hear those stories of Captain Cook. He was lost at trying to go around all the way around Antarctica, but it took him like 60,000 miles around, and he was lost. People don't bring up those lines at all. That's what I always notice. I'm like, it's so on a globe in Antarctica, those longitude and latitude lines or whatever they're called. What are they called?
Those are the latitude lines. Those are
right there. See how they're far apart once they hit Antarctica, but on the globe, they're close.
Yeah, so let's talk about which one's right, and I'm going to tell you why this one's right. So you can't measure your distance out at sea when there's no landmarks. So you have to use GPS. GPS is run by NASA. It's based off of longitude and latitude lines. Now, there's big missing sections of the world here, but let's just assume these are right on a flat Earth. So somebody's sailing from here, 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, versus here, 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, much shorter distance, would be going a shorter distance. Do you know that all distance records for sailing in the oceans are made in the north? None are in the south.
I didn't know.
So the sailboats in the north can go 200 miles farther per day in open ocean than in the south. No, they're just being measured as 200 miles farther because their mile markers, their longitude lines are closer together.
Yeah. I get it. Now, okay. So now again, we're beyond trying to convince people. This is just for us. We got our political system, our government system, right here. And then, the puppets. And then above them, the bankers, I guess, and Illuminati, whatever. There's if there's multiple lakes and Earth is just one lake, it's the Earth lake. There's the government running all the lakes. It's like it's mind-boggling. Like how does that run? Is there like some king of every lake, and do they battle and do they war? Are they all like, what is fucking going on? Or did God just create this lake and there's no other lake, and then God just created this lake, or maybe God created a bunch of lakes? You know what I mean? Is there anything in the Bible that says there's many lakes, or in the Bible it's like one lake, there's nothing outside of this lake?
Maybe when God says Earth, he's talking about the entire realm. But they've just trapped us in this little area. Okay. Have you seen this book, The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall?
No.
It's fantastic. It's really short, 1-day read. There's 3 of them. And it's literally the story of somebody traveling in between all of these ponds. When I say all of these ponds, you've seen the Nos Confunden map.
I probably have, but I don't know the name.
This one.
I haven't seen that. Oh, I have. So this is that. Yeah, I have seen that. That's wow.
These are all ponds. Like we live right here in the center of this one. These are other ponds, and if they're occupying a piece of the plane, if you want to use a little word etymology, a planet, a piece of the plane. Okay, so but the book I was telling you about, it literally is like, if you read it, it sounds like Star Wars, where there's the neutral zone and there's hostile lands and there's trade routes and there's friendly lands, and then there's the custodians. They're the ones that allow you to go here and allow you to go there. So there's this whole management system, and it's just like Star Wars. But in the book, they talk about anyone traveling between these lands, they have what they call this connection to source. So they call it they have the source. Well, that sounds like the Force to me. I think Star Wars is literally telling the story of this map. And it's here on Earth, and they put it into outer space to keep us lost. Okay, so check this out. If we go here
now, when you look, if you can go back to that, there's a lot of lakes now. There's a lot of ponds, right? Like the guy who wrote that, is he just making it all up, or is he basing all those lands on some kind of story from some kind of explorer? Is he? Where's he getting this info?
It's based on the log of Admiral Morris or something. I forget the names. Who had It's based on a true story. You can call it bullshit if you want. Okay.
Yes.
It's interesting. But let me just show you how they would hide the lands from us. Okay. So.
For some guy to know about all those lands and all those lakes and all those ponds, that's crazy. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying, whoa, that guy has insane information.
So maybe it just goes as far as that Japanese map I showed you with Kiribati, where we had the square and the other 30 or 40 continents out there. Hey, that's big news. Maybe it goes beyond. Who knows? And to me, that one's biblical. It has 4 corners. It could be the whole earth, and they trapped us. So imagine this. We live here in America, and it's early. I don't want to say it's 1800s, because the 1800s they were more advanced than we are now. But we don't have radio, we don't have internet, we don't have airplanes. We just have boats, and we live our lives. So the controllers say, "Hey, you know what? We're going to draw this circle here, just Canada, America, Mexico, and part of South America, and we're going to put a big wall up here, and no one can go over here. And we're going to cut it out, and we're going to wrap it around a sphere." And we're going to tell everybody, we're going to teach kids in school, this is where you live, and you're not allowed to go here because we don't want to mess up the ice or disturb the penguins. Okay. So you're not allowed to go here. So if you got on a boat and went off towards Europe, a couple 100 miles offshore, they'd stop you, the UN, UN forces. Sorry, you can't go out here. And they're going to turn you around. And you would think that you're approaching this ice continent. Right. Yeah. So what if we did live in that multi-pond world? Okay. What if we did live right here and the controllers did the same thing? Okay. They went in, right? This is us. This would be what we call Antarctica. They cut it out and then they wrapped it around a sphere and they said, you can't go beyond 60 degrees south, which is right about here independently. No one can go here. No one's allowed to go to the South Pole. This is a prison for your mind, Eddie. This is to stop you from reaching that 10th dimension. This is to stop you from expanding your thoughts, for realizing that we're at the center of creation. This is to stop you from understanding that our position in this world and make you weak, make you scared, make you feel lack when there's more abundance than any of us can ever imagine.
Now, I've seen 1, maybe 2 videos of some independent, I don't know if they were fishermen, but they were on a boat, and then they're like too far south, and the military just shows up and tells them to turn the fuck around. I've seen 1 or 2 of those. How many more of those videos have you seen?
I haven't seen any more videos than those 1 or 2, but I've read a lot of stories. There's one guy specific that tried it like 3 or 4 times. He got arrested. He got all sorts of stuff. But
how do they when they're because basically it sounds like they're patrolling the shore of Antarctica, the shore. So it's really easy to tell if some ship is getting close, right? They've got like buoys in the middle of the ocean with radar, right?
Well, so these are 8 different military bases, all run by the Crown. This one's the Falkland Islands. Remember that war?
Yes.
Okay. What we're fighting about, right? Very important. So these now there's thousands of miles in between these, but they have buoys out here, a mesh of network of radar buoys, wave buoys. They can detect where boats are just due to waves and sound and radar. So it's all protected. So if they find that somebody is heading for the wall, they can easily intercept them from any one of these bases. This is the circle of our prison. Okay. And people say, well, you can go to Antarctica. There's 100 different companies, all run by the Antarctic Commission, all basically shell companies of one company. Right? They control it all. They take you to this little peninsula right here, to an island, giant island called Deception Island, or sometimes you go to Rothschild Island if you want. Okay.
Well, Deception Island.
Deception Island and Rothschild Island. Those are the 2 number 1 tourist spots.
Dude,
in
that's
Antarctica.
An actual island, and that's where they take you. Deception Island. You know how crazy that is.
I've seen it and I've looked it up. Right?
Deception Island. That's perfect. They're probably laughing their asses off.
Okay. So,
and you had in order to go to the South Pole on that little island where they, you go to that ceremonial South Pole, take a couple pictures. They take you to, a little boat cruise to check out the leopard seals and the penguins. And everyone thinks, anybody could go to the South Pole. They don't realize that they're just on this island. They don't let you independently explore anywhere you want. Now, how Owen said, hey, let's fucking go to Antarctica. We're gonna check it out and prove it for ourselves. And I'm like, I ain't going nowhere because it ain't gonna happen anyways. I'll be a sitting duck out there, and it ain't gonna happen anyways. They're not gonna let it happen. He had people look into it, and Alex Jones even told me, goes, you're right. It's super hard to get clearance. You have to be, some kind of government scientist.
Eddie, that happened after you, me, and Sam were on Alex's show. You and Sam were sitting there telling Alex to shut up while I was trying to steamroll him. And after that, he became obsessed with going to Antarctica, right? Yeah. He was ready to fund it. I don't know if he got the phone call, like, don't go there or your whole operation shuts down. Something happened where he flipped one day and said, nobody can talk about Antarctica, talk about flat Earth anymore. Something happened.
I don't think he said that. I don't think he said, I know all the guys that work there. I know Alex very well. He is not.
Dropped it like a rock. What happened?
He found out that you can't go.
So he just gave up?
He knows you can't go. He tells you, you're right. You can't go.
Okay, well, I'll accept that.
Yeah. I know Alex very well. I know like the team. I know the people he brings on. If he's controlled opposition, he's controlled opposition that didn't know he's controlled opposition. Like I believe Fox News is controlled opposition, but it's more powerful if the commentators on Fox don't know they're controlled opposition. As long we know the left controls all media, like basically all of television. You're not going to get any truth in all of television. It's completely controlled by the demons, everything, like big tech, TV, everything. So, the whole everything on TV is pretty much leftist. So it's smart for them to control the right too. So Fox, is, to me, controlled opposition, and to many people. So they needed something to oppose the left. It can't be all leftists. They know that. They're smart. So they create Fox. And then since all the Republicans that were running against the Democrats, like, Mitt Romney, John McCain, they were all rhinos anyways. So you don't have to tell the commentators like Tucker Carlson to, talk shit on the Republicans. That's your job, is to blow up the Republicans. And they were all rhinos anyways. So Tucker's job is to blow up Republicans, and they're all rhinos. So the people that are controlling Fox, which probably are the left, right? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'm just thinking common sense. So they didn't have to sit down with all the commentators and say, hey, listen, you guys are really pushing rhinos. They wouldn't do that. Gangsters wouldn't do that. You let them think they're doing the right thing. All your job is to blow up Republicans. Just blow them up. And the people at the top, they're not worried about Fox because they're blowing up the rhinos. So it's perfect. And then in comes Donald Trump claiming Republican. And now it's like, oh, shit. So they have a problem now. Like, this is a Republican, but he's not a rhino. Or, apparently he's not. So, damn. So I think Tucker figured it out on his own. That's why they got rid of him. And a couple other guys, maybe that Gutfield guy and who's the other guy? Who's Waters? It seems like, damn, like they're kind of figuring out like, oh shit, we were controlled opposition, but they didn't know it. It's always more powerful when the controlled opposition doesn't know. You know what I mean? I think like the news commentators for the left, and MSNBC and CNN, all, I think they think they're doing the right thing. I think like it's more powerful when they think they're doing the right thing. When their sources, FBI sources, CIA sources are telling them, hey, listen, this is Russian disinformation. You got to help save the country. This is Russian disinformation. You got to do the American thing. I think they think they're doing the right thing. And that's why they're so passionate about it. I mean, people that are awake are going, man, these guys are retarded. I think they're thinking they think they're doing the right thing. I have many liberal friends. They think they're leading with their heart. So I think my point is, if Alex Jones is controlled opposition, he doesn't know it. You know what I mean? Because he has his FBI sources. He has a CIA source. So he's getting all this information. So I think he's getting a lot of good information that really the controllers don't really care about. But when they need to drop some other shit, Alex Jones said, my sources told me this and my sources tell me that. When I think that's, if he's controlled opposition, he doesn't know it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. It's fascinating.
I know Alex Jones. I know Alex Jones very well. That guy loves his family. That guy loves his son. That guy's he loves his staff. That guy, he loves his country. He's 100% First and Second Amendment. That's he's not faking that. He ain't faking that shit. And they're going after him. He got sued for like $1 billion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
They went after him, and he was fucking. Dude,
everyone says it's
stressed out. He was stressed the fuck out, dude. That if he's controlled opposition, he doesn't know it. He's that type. You know what I mean? And he even says, he goes, maybe I'm getting fed wrong information, because I've had these discussions with him. You know what I mean? I think the smart way to work for the controllers is to get their puppets to think they're doing the right thing, not to fill them in on the whole story. Like, hey, listen, say this, because we're trying to fucking push the New World Order and fucking, inflict some tyranny on these fucking slaves, so say this and say that. If you did that, it wouldn't be that powerful, because dudes would flip, go, fuck that. I'm not going to be a traitor to humanity. So you tell them they're doing the right thing. This is, you know what I mean? It's just common sense. That's what you would do in like a street gang. You would tell people, this is for your homies. You got to do this. You got to get revenge. And you got to get people to think they're doing the right thing. I think that's what controlled opposition is. They don't know they're controlled opposition.
I completely agree. Getting back to Antarctica, there's a great video in the Antarctica section on the frequently asked questions page on my app that it's called "Sorry, Antarctica's Closed." One of our guys, Taboo Conspiracy, Ben, he's a lawyer, and he looked into it. Like, Eddie, talk about looking into it. He looked into it, and he made all the phone calls and all the email messages, and basically found out it costs you like a couple $100,000 in permits, take you a year or two, and then they'll deny you and keep the money and not let you go. And they just make it, oh, you got to talk to this person. That person says you got to talk to this person. You got to fill out this form. You got to wait 6 months here. And they basically make it so it's impossible to go. So there you go.
I wonder what would happen if someone just got on a private jet, loaded up, and just fucking beelined. You think Eddie, get shot down?
Well, let's say they didn't get shot down. Let's say, they let them go. Where are they going? How are they navigating? Compasses don't work.
How are they going to get back?
No fuel. It's dark, right? It's like, and they'll probably crash into the firmament or something. Who knows? We don't know, because, we don't want to go out there blind. We want to go out there on a careful expedition. And I say airships are the way to go.
History is written by the victors. So what if the victor story is fabricated? What if the story they gave us all about our recent past was nothing short of a complete lie? For far too long, humanity has relied on the Board of Education to receive its official history narrative. The problem is their narrative makes absolutely no sense. There are giant mistakes in the timeline that show us all. Not only did they lie, but they hid the previous civilization from us, with no mention of our ancestors looking a little different, traveling with no issues, doing it all in style and efficiency, with beautiful architecture that we can't rebuild today, powered up cities, riding around on their advanced technology. Advanced technology? Wait, I thought the 1800s into the early 1900s were a bunch of idiots riding around on horse and buggy. Because when you look back and do a little research, it's obvious. This old world was discovered and then destroyed, resurfaced, and populated. They torched every city across the plain. Nothing new under the sun. Rockefeller flooded your brain with lies. Use your head. Think about your family tree and how it all began.
Old World Order. Visit OWOfilm.com for more information.
Have you seen this shot yet, Eddie?
No.
So looking, when you look across sea level, the air is very thick, but up high, the air is clear and you can see farther. Using the Earth Curve Calculator, the one that gives the globe the best benefit of the doubt, from this altitude, we can see all of these mountains, 8 mountains. They're over 700 miles away. We can see almost all of the mountains. Some of them are hidden by, a finger in the distance, a hill. But the tops of those mountains should be over 40 miles below a physical curve. 40 miles.
Yeah.
You know what mainstream science says about this?
It's a mirage.
Nothing. They won't touch it. They won't even say it's a mirage. They pretend it doesn't exist.
Damn.
This doesn't prove the Earth is flat. It proves the Earth is flat, or the Earth is 10,000 times bigger than they're telling us. I'll take either.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Man, is there any chance that we're in our lifetimes we're gonna see we're gonna get to see what's outside of the Antarctic Circle? What do you think? It's impossible.
I believe coming soon, Eddie. I love what the shaman guy from January 6th said, that we don't need to destroy their system. We need to make a better system and make their system obsolete. Right? We need to make their system obsolete. Right? And when you say, we are literally one tweet away from this going viral. Check out the Friend Finder. This is the UK. These are just the people that have my app. Okay. I say that's less than 1% of flat earthers, right? Look at America. These are people that are just on the Friend Finder on my app. Okay. That's crazy. Look at California.
How many total people?
Well, registered on the Friend Finder, there's 115,000 right now. And it's growing faster and faster and faster every day. And I'm about to go on some major shows that are going to get millions of views. So
now explain the app once again for first-time viewers.
So
give me the
app
breakdown
is
on that app.
Yeah, I'll give you real quick. And for any first-time viewers that aren't, I figured 99% of your viewers are already flat earthers. Maybe that's just,
I would say 50%.
All right,
not everybody. 50. Not everybody.
So I offer to anyone that's not there yet, I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Here it is. Get my app. It's $3, one-time charge. Okay. Every day there's a featured video right here. So just when you get up in the morning, have your coffee, whatever, watch the featured video. Click, watch it. Okay. And then you could watch any videos that come after it because those are in my algorithm, not the YouTube, Google censorship algorithm. Okay. And after 2 weeks, if you still think the Earth is a globe, you're probably retarded, but you can send me your proof. But before you do, hit the question mark and up come the frequently asked questions. Hey, what about the Coriolis effect? What about gravity? What about seasons? Why would they lie? And you click those and up come a whole series of videos that YouTube will not let you find on your own. I mean, it would be very difficult to find. It also has images search. So let's say we're hanging at the bar and I'm trying to convince Eddie Bravo the Earth is flat, and you're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean the ice wall? And I could just type in Antarctica, right? Bam, there's the ice wall. I got all my pictures and stuff right at your fingertips. And then let's say we're doing it over email, and you're like, well, send me a picture of the ice wall. I could pull up the pictures of the ice wall. I hit select. And I'll choose the pictures that I want, and then I click send, and I can send them to you. And it's just a great way to share information and educate yourself. On here also, I just added a social media part where you can fill out a whole profile. So this is my profile, and I got 4 friend requests. I have some people, and you can communicate with people, right? I can go into my messages section. And it's kind of like Telegram. I'm in all of these groups. And let's say I'll go to my beta test group and I'll say, hey, I'm going to start a video call. There's 100 and some odd people in here. Look, I'm blowing my secret here. And so now I'm sending a video call to everybody that's in the group. And within a couple seconds, some people will jump on, and then you can have these great conversations. You can just meet people. Run Boston Bear again in the car. He never misses a call. Say hello. We're on.
You just called him. That was live.
There's a couple of people. I'm right now. Say hi to Eddie Bravo.
Hey, how you doing, Eddie?
Yo.
There you go. And we got a Darcy Corboy in Australia just jumped on. All right.
Awesome.
Look, and so there we are, guys.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, all right, guys. Yeah, so now there's 4 people on, and I'll catch you guys later.
Are you an app designer? How did you make this happen? Seems super complex and sophisticated.
That's super complex, doesn't it? So let me tell you, the story behind it was I'd be with people and I've been trying to flat smack them. And I'm like, well, let me find that picture. Where's that animation? I said, you know what? I made an app before. I said, and I didn't make it. I had a designer make it. I said, so I designed the app and I got it made for a couple $1,000. And every time I would show it to somebody, and I wasn't even going to publish it, I was just going to have it on my phone, right? I just had it as in test flight. And everyone goes, where do I get that app? And I'm like, well, all right, let me publish it. So I published it and it was free. And then people were like, hey, can you add this? Can you add that? Can you add this? I started adding all these features and then it started costing more money. I said, you know what? I'll charge $3 and whatever money I make, I'll put back into the app. So people started buying it. And then YouTube apocalypse happened, or it was the censorship was coming in hard. So I started the video part of it and I started the images and I keep adding and adding and adding and adding to it. And now it's worldwide. We even have people in Antarctica. Did you see that? Check this out.
What?
I hit. Check this out. There's 2 guys.
You ever try to contact them?
I was in touch with one of them, and he was messaging me for a couple of days, and then he goes, "Oh, I spoofed it. I'm actually in Greenland or something." And I'm like, "No, you're not." I said, "All right, then move yourself." So here he is, right here. This guy, he's at the KC station. Let me zoom in. There he is, KC station. You see it?
Maybe that's a guy watching you.
So his name was, I forget. But then there's another guy, which is in a very weird spot. He is, where is he? Oh, he might be gone. That's that guy. Oh, he's right here. Right there. He's right on the edge of what they'll let me see. And his name was, It's Cold Here. That was his username. But the other guy, he stopped talking to me after I called his bluff on him spoofing it because you can't spoof it. So there's people everywhere. New Zealand, right? There's people everywhere, Eddie. And you know what's great? You know, people are like, oh, it's flat earth there. I've lost some friends. My family won't talk to me. There's no one. And then they go on here and they say, oh, look, there's people right in my town. And you can click on one and say, oh, look, this is Betty. And I could look at her profile, make sure she's not crazy. And then I could hit the message and I could send her a message and say, hey, meet me at the little pub. Right. And so many people are going into business together, new best friends, new significant others. Babies have already happened because of this. Right.
That's awesome. Flat Earth babies.
Right here. You can select. I'll select. Let me turn on my radius counter. I'll say 50 kilometers. Save. And then right here, this button, as soon as it populates, it'll tell me how many people are within 50 kilometers. There's 580 something, 583. I could send them all a message. Hey, we're having a meetup at, so-and-so state park or so-and-so pizza place. Come on down. We did that this winter and we had 85 people show up.
That's badass, man.
Yeah. So if you want to message, full disclosure, the app's $3 one time. You get everything I showed you. But if you want to message people, if you want to use the profile section, you have to pay a subscription. And ready for the subscription, Eddie? You ready? It's a $1. No, it's $11 a year. Okay? $11 a year. But check this out. In the profile section, if you hit this button, there's a referral code, right? Mine is DITRH. That's my YouTube channel. Make your referral code. Tell people about the app. If 11 people get the app, you can trade in your points for a free subscription. $11, it's a no-brainer. It's a margarita, and you forgot to tip the bartender.
Yeah. It's not a margarita in Vegas. A margarita in Vegas
it's not a
is like $22.
Right. So it's a half a margarita. I'm going to use that now because we're going to Vegas October 21st and 22nd. Anybody that wants to go, you should come. Just come and hang out with us. Eddie, I got these giant posters, these giant banners that say win $3,000 in chips. I got big giant chips on them. It says, just give us one globe proof. No purchase necessary. Play as many times as you want. And so we're all going to be out there with our apps in hands and flat smacking people in Vegas trying to get $3,000 because they lost all the money they came with and their wives are going to kill them. So they're going to try to win it from us.
What are some new features that are coming that aren't on that app yet? Anything you got like a wish list?
Well, so the profiles just came out, right? Where you can friend people and all sorts of stuff. On the images, I just added the search. So, let's say somebody says horizon. I need to see a flat horizon. So you just type in HOR, boom, you got all these horizon pictures. And then the select is brand new, where you can pick up to 5 images at a time to send to people. Before you had to send them one by one. But in the games section, so right now we have a trivia game that's active. But you remember the old concentration game where you turn over 2 cards or 2 tiles, and if they don't match, you turn them back, and you have to kind of match them up?
Yes.
Remember that game?
Yes.
So this will be one where you do it, and all of the images are all flat Earth related. But you'll be able to play remotely with somebody. I could, on my friends list, and say, hey, let's play the tile game. Bam. And then we say, okay, we're going to make it the hardest. We're going to make it, 60 tiles, and it's going to have, maximum number of different images. And then we play together remotely, and you can talk to each other or text while playing.
Nice. So what's coming? What's on your mind for the app? Because that you're talking about what's already in the app. What's coming?
That one's coming. That one.
Oh, it's coming. Okay.
Coming. and then video search, because right now I have image search. Right now there's so many videos on the app that I'm trying to put a search so you can say, what was that video on, if you just remember something about the video, you'll be able to search it. Rather than like, if you hit the archive here, it's pretty extensive. It's got years, so this is the current month. And then if you hit the little hamburger at the top, you got your years, and then the years broken down by month, and all of the best videos that YouTube is hiding from you are there. So that alone makes it worth whatever. I mean, because if you want to research flat Earth, you're going to spend 500 hours to find 2 hours worth of good content.
Now, just a little while ago today, I wanted to see what came up because I was thinking about how YouTube labels videos that are basically true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a video on YouTube of president after president, George Bush Sr., Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, all talking about the New World Order many times.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a label on the video that says New World Order is a conspiracy theory.
I know.
It's on the video. It's insane. Like if you put up the George Senior, it's like a 30-second clip of him talking about New World Order. There's a label on there that says it's a conspiracy theory. It's
1990 September 11th, I think that was on September 11th. Speech. And
it was September 11th. He did that.
September 11th. Yeah, fascinating, right?
Yeah. So I punched. Okay, here, let's check this out. Is the label on there? It's got to be. There it is. Look, New World Order is a conspiracy theory that hypothesizes a secretly emerging totalitarian world government. I mean, he's saying it.
Yeah. We're not conspiracy theorists. We're future news forecasters. We're future reality forecasters, because everything we talk about is come true.
Yeah. So earlier I punched in the next level Hibbler, and that video did not come up. Hibbler's YouTube channel did come up, but not that video. And all the videos that listed all debunking flat Earth. Even that one where you were on with Science Dave or whatever his name is, that he was just,
but the mind shock breakdown of that doesn't come up.
I seen the mind shock breakdown. I know what those guys are doing. Those guys are just talking out their ass. And you're trying to talk common sense, and there was like 3 guys against you, so they were just like, I get what happened. You know what I mean?
It was it actually has brought a lot of people that I never could have gotten, because there's people that emailed me afterwards and says, listen, I'm not a flat earther. There's no way the earth is flat, but why did he act like that? Well, now I could say, here, watch these videos. And I sent them the next level. Okay. Or level with me, or, and a list. And then I get an email back a couple of days later going, holy crap, this is real, and I would have never reached them anyway. So that video is doing more good than damage. So let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. Check this out, Eddie. And maybe
look when you punch in right here. Look, you punch in the next level, and that video right there, the Flat Earth official trailer, that's got to be super like BBC. Or I don't know, it doesn't say BBC, but it's got to be super propaganda. You know, that's the number one video that comes up.
Eddie, go to my channel, DITRH. DITRH. Deep inside the rabbit hole. So pull up my channel, click my logo, and go to videos. And all my videos say the word flat Earth in them. So go down a couple. I got 2911. So click on any of the videos that say flat Earth. So just watch it for a couple seconds so it goes into your history. Okay. All right. Now go back and click another video and make sure it says flat Earth in it. Okay. Right there, daylight proves flat Earth, any of them. Okay. So it says flat Earth in it. Now go to your history. Go to your YouTube history. On the left-hand column, down right there. Okay, so now go search your. So there they are in your history. Now search in your history. Is that the history search right there? Yeah,
search watch history.
Type in flat Earth. Let's see if they fix this yet. And my videos disappear, and just propaganda videos come up.
Is the one with Bryce Mitchell, they consider that propaganda?
Well, not yet. They haven't classified that one yet because a lot of people watch that and think that he's crazy because he didn't lay out. He just was ranting and great job.
Like my videos too. My videos, they seem to they think that, this guy's a crazy idiot because I'm not a scientist and I got my arms covered with tattoos. I'm fine with that. Let them think that. I don't give a shit.
Eddie, listen to this. So when you search flat Earth, all of the real videos disappear and just the propaganda shows up. No other topic does that. Bigfoot, COVID, anything. No matter what you're searching, it'll show you your history. No matter what you watched, only flat Earth will be erased. All of the real videos will be erased from your search. That right there, in my mind, proves flat Earth.
When people get your app and they look at videos, they're going to YouTube, right?
They're going to YouTube, yes, for now. They're going to YouTube, but I have everything backed up on a Web3 server, and eventually when YouTube kind of kicks us all off, if that happens, they're gonna drop the hammer eventually. I got everything ready to go. I can literally switch it over in probably 4 hours.
And so where would those videos be? You'd like on Rumble or something?
No. They're on a Web3, the new web server that's on the blockchain. And if you watch like the Dollar Vigilante, all of his stuff is on there. And
what is that? It's like you can't turn that off. It's rid
of it. It's decentralized internet. It's the new internet that's coming. This internet is going to die, and this internet it's kind of like blockchain internet. But anytime I upload a video to any of my channels, instantly it's mirrored over there on there. So when any of this goes down, literally, everyone don't panic. 4 hours later, everything will be up and running.
Whoa, you're prepared. Because that's what I was getting at. I'm like, eventually YouTube's going to drop the hammer on you. And if, what are you going to do then? That's
what I do is anytime I see a really good video, I actually copy it, mirror it onto my channel just for it to go over there. And it actually helps the channel because I promote it back to the channel. I link back to the original video. No one seems to have a problem with it, but it's more for backup services and to spread good videos around.
You ever thought about just moving to Rumble? What do you think about Rumble? Is Rumble flat Earth friendly?
Oh, absolutely. I actually have a couple hundred videos on Rumble, and I have 100 unlisted videos that I'm going to start rolling out of one a day. I got on Rumble, on BitChute. I'm not on Rockfin. You're on Rockfin, so I'll be on Rockfin on your channel.
Yeah, Rockfin. They're totally flat Earth friendly.
Yeah, that's good. It's just I need to stay on YouTube. You know why? Because all the globe people are there. All of the normies are.
Yeah, I get it.
Eddie, you go out into the world and go, where do you upload videos onto the internet? Well, YouTube. And I'm like, do you ever hear of Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute? No, what's that? The people don't even know what it is. Normies only know YouTube.
Yeah.
Some. It's starting to get around. But
what's the difference between a Rumble and BitChute?
Two different competitors. They're the same thing. But I think Rumble. for live streaming, but I don't know. I just upload to both of them.
Okay, so you got stuff on BitChute as well.
I do. Yeah. I have two BitChute channels. I have my Stop Look Think BitChute and my Flat Earth BitChute.
Awesome, man. Anything else you want to talk about?
I want to talk about, well, we can wrap it up. It's just that a lot of and here's the thing. It's okay that flat earthers don't agree on a lot of things. It's all right. We're working it out. We're figuring it out. We all agree on one thing. We're not a ball flying through an infinite universe, right? Think about this. The Big Bang, boom, and then nothing turns into everything, and then rocks turn into balls. And for some reason, gases decide to do the opposite, what they always do. Remember, you open up a pressurized seltzer or something, it equalizes instantly, right? Gases always violently fill the available space, but in space, when you have enough gas, they collapse on each other and make giant suns.
Yeah.
Okay. And people just want to believe that. It's the dumbest thing ever, right? I mean, the more you look into it, the more you lose respect for people that can't see it. It's really, they used to laugh at us. I think they might still laugh at us, but I can't fathom how anyone believes the globe other than pure ignorance.
Yeah.
That's the only way. You have to be completely ignorant to not see it.
Well, the indoctrination's pretty damn strong from first day of school. They got a globe up in your face.
Yep.
So
I remember.
And like the simple things, I mean, the most obvious things are we're not spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's the first thing I ask. Like, if I get in an argument, I go, "You think we're spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour?" And they're like, "You think we're spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour? That's retarded. That's super retarded." And do you think the sun is 93 million miles away? It looks like it's right fucking there, dude. It's 93 million. It looks like 3,000 or something, or maybe less.
Eddie, this is Sesame Street teaching kids about what fiction is. And here's the fiction section. Globe, rocket. On top of there.
You think a flat earther did that?
I don't know. Is it a flat earther do it? Is it a revelation of the method, or are they just poking us in the eye? Just trying to get us to go crazy.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. And then another obvious one is the moonlight. Everyone is convinced that the moonlight is a reflection of the sun, and that all you got to do is pay attention to the moon. And you know that it's so easy. The moon is its own fucking light. It's shining down. Light doesn't reflect off dust like that. It doesn't cause a beam. If that was, unless the moon was made out of like a glass or like a mirror, you know what I mean, or some kind of crystal. That's not how light reflects off dirt or dust. It would never be that bright. Look at the moon. It's fucking bright. It's shining through clouds. Like when clouds go in front of the moon, it's shining through. That's not how reflected light off dust looks. That's the most obvious one right there. That the moon is its own light. It's so obvious.
It's absolutely obvious. And, if you start doing the math, the inverse square law of light, every time you get half the distance closer to a light, it's 4 times brighter. By the time you got 100 miles from the moon, it would be like 60 times brighter than the sun.
It would be blinding. It would be blind. You wouldn't, I mean, just when that moon is shining bright on a clear night, imagine going to it and how fucking, it's like, I've talked about this before. It's like, like high beam lights. If you get right in front of them, they're blinding. But if you're 100 yards away, you could look directly into high beams of a car. But when you're right on top of it, the closer you get, it fucks your eyes up. Same thing with the moon. Light is light.
Yeah. And it's definitely provably local. So, and when people say, well, then what is it? If you don't know what it is, then the earth is a globe. No, I don't know what it is. Then you're an idiot for thinking that I should know what it is.
Yeah. The moon is pretty mysterious. David Weiss, you're a bad motherfucker. How can my audience reach you?
Anybody that has a show, wants more information, if you want to invite me on a show, just go to flatearthdave.com. You can find my app, flatearthdave.com. There's the crash course in there, which are just, if you're like, what's on Netflix tonight? Turn off Netflix. Go open a crash course video. In here, there's movie lists. There's all sorts of stuff in the app. There's links to Flattoberfest on the website. There's Links to Elon Musk being a complete and total fraud. 5-minute video. One video is all you need to realize that. And everything can be found at flatearthdave.com.
Thank you, David. You crushed it, man. This was a great podcast, great information, and I'm flat as fuck. And you pulled out some shit I'd never seen before. Thank you very much. We'll do this again, and have a beautiful evening.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Level with me.
We'll also continue to engage with China. We're not looking for a new Cold War, but I make no apologies for taking down that balloon. Thank you very much.
This is not a new phenomenon that you might find balloons in the air. The fact that
Sorry, yeah.
So there are all kinds of possibilities here. Could it be a weather balloon? Absolutely.
Could it be a weather balloon? Absolutely.
Mainstream calls them satellites. They're satelloons because they're all on balloons. Well, I mean, we're in public. There's no expectation of privacy.
Why are we only told about this other idea of satellites? It's a well-kept secret that we have tons of huge balloons above us.
You don't know about any of these satellites without the balloons?
Space. It's the biggest psyop of all time.
The Earth is not what NASA says it is.
Many people are becoming aware that there's a firmament.
There's a firmament above us. Why is it when we review this footage that these things are exploding? It looks like they're hitting a barrier.
Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, the problem is you can't get past the firmament.
Some of these rockets look like they're scraping across a watery firmament, kind of like a boat dragging something through the water. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're not flying into space.
This is disclosure. People want to call us conspiracy theorists, but we're about to blow this wide open.
Oh, it's going to blow up or something's going to happen.
The 1986 Challenger disaster did not die in the explosion, with many of them hiding in plain sight.
Did you ever think the public would find out that all the spacewalks were filmed underwater?
Thanks, sir. The liars are the enemy, even if they live in our own backyard.
The Jiu-Jitsu Dojo is the ultimate training ground for life. Jiu-Jitsu will accelerate the evolution of your being, your consciousness, your soul. Through this amazing art, you will prove to yourself that you can master anything you set your mind to.
Happy birthday, Eddie Bravo.
I leave for Brazil tomorrow.
Are you the Fear Factor guy?
I'm like 6 pounds over. Time to sweat it out.
Just imagine someone that has no idea how different your game is.
I'll tell you what this weekend was, man. It was a culmination point where all your hard work comes to like one great moment in time. You showed that you're a fucking champion. Guy who goes against convention. You created your own shit and figured interesting ways to get around problems in jiu-jitsu. And shows you that great things are possible if you work hard, if you dedicate yourself, and you use your creativity, and you push through. Your own human potential just goes up.
My 10th Planet Association has grown rapidly to over 70 academies worldwide, and their curriculums are all synced to 10th Planet headquarters located in downtown Los Angeles. I'm Eddie Bravo. I hope to see you on the mats.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.